Hello, Mountaineer fans and faithful. This is Shane here, coming to you solo. Jackson Johnson hopefully is going to hop on here a little bit later. He was most recently on Locked On West Virginia. Everybody knows Jackson. Has the Alabama channel here on the Voice of College Football, and this is the West Virginia Call-In Show, courtesy of FanDuel. So we're going to talk tonight about Rich Rodriguez, a little bit of heat. Are you guys happy with the way things are for the football, the basketball, other sports? I want to hear from you. I want to hear what your thoughts are, because guess what? I think some of this was just clickbait. Mountaineer Paul did a show on it, had Jackson on. Hopefully Jackson will come on later and give his opinion. I think the guy who did the article is not even worth mentioning. There's no way in anybody who's rational, who's a sports fan, can expect a first-year coach to come in and light it up. So with that, let's talk about the Mountaineers. We're going to talk overrated, underrated. What programs are overrated, just rated maybe, or underrated? Now, we usually talk about basketball last, because this is the voice of college football, right? The West Virginia channel. But because it was such a demoralizing loss for me, I watched it. It's just a really hard pill to swallow. Now, I went to ChatGPT and I pulled it up, and ChatGPT before the game said West Virginia had a 91% chance of making the NCAA tournament. However, there was a few things they had to do in order to make it work. So what would have to happen for that to come to fruition? Well, it said they had to win 2 of the last 3 games against quad 2 opponents. If I'm correct, I might not be correct, but Utah was not one of those quad 2. They were quad 3 because they only had 9 wins. They hadn't won a road game in like 33 games. I mean, that's how bad they've been playing. Now, Utah 10 years ago was in the tournament doing well, but they've fallen on hard times. They're not the Utah of old. West Virginia went cold, and that's an understatement. Other folks are saying that, well, this is just, they're not that great, but they're a good defensive team, and they had opportunities late. Man, I think they only allowed 60 points, 61 points. You hold someone to 61 points, and you're a college basketball team. There's no way in hell you should be losing. The last place team in the Big 12, they've lost 7 in a row. Utah lost 7 in a row. And they were up against the Mountaineers by 14 a couple times. They went on a run. Utah went on a run to start the game. And West Virginia climbed back in within 4 points. And for the last 3 minutes, they had an opportunity to literally steal it. 2 times they turned the ball over at the end of the game, just with errant passes, just shitty passes, just not knowing what to do with the ball for the other 2 turnovers to make 4. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Am I panicking? Is this squad overrated or underrated? Let me see if Jackson's hitting me up here. So, I don't know, guys. I think they might be a little bit overrated. Overrated. We will see how it pans out. But, an article came out, and I thought it was very, very good article by Skylar Callahan. He does great work, guys. And his article says West Virginia dug its own grave thanks to a clear lack of urgency. Guys, it's tough to play a game middle of the week if you're traveling. Utah had to fly in middle of the week, come into Morgantown, play that game. That was a game that West Virginia should have freaking won. Absolutely 100%. I don't know. They just hit the snooze button. When they did wake up in the second half, it was maybe too late. But the inconsistencies that bit them in the ass the first game, the last 2 minutes came back out. They got hot for a little bit and they look good. And when they're hot, they're fantastic. But when you have a plus 11 rebound ratio on the glass in the first half, it's tough to come back. It's really, you can't pull a rabbit out of your hat 2 games in a row. So let's go to the chat and see what folks say before I start keep dogging on the poor Mountaineer basketball team. Guys, they have to. West Virginia has to be considered a bubble team. And Eric and I talked about this last week. They have to pull out. They can maybe lose one more game. And then you start getting into making a run in the Big 12 tournament. The Big 12 tournament will be crucial because, as we know, the Big 12 tournament is heck, it has the most ranked teams in all of college basketball. So it will affect the seeding and overall, likelihood of them making the tournament. You win 2 games of the tournament, you have a good chance if you go 500 for the rest of the season. But we will see. So it went from 91% to 40% chance, according to ChatGPT. So let me bring on, guys. He has a podcast called The Jacksonian. He also has an Alabama channel here on the Voice of College Football. He's also seen hanging out with Mountaineer Paul talking about the Mountaineer sports, but he's not a West Virginia guy, but he has an accent. We love him. Here he is, Jackson Johnson.
What's up, man? How you doing tonight, good buddy?
It's good to see you here. So I was talking a little bit about West Virginia basketball before you came on, because we usually finish the show with basketball, but I figured you could pop it on here. West Virginia lost to the worst team in the Big 12. They came back with 14 points to, down 14 points, got within 4 points, hung on, threw the ball away 4 possessions in a row. The guy missed 2 foul shots. They got the rebound and threw it out of bounds. All they had to do was go down and make a 3. So they had opportunities. I'm just talking about what has to happen for the Mountaineers to get back on track and be at least a bubble team. But consensus is for me that this team is overrated right now. That we were basically thinking they were something they're not. The defense is fantastic. They're holding their teams that they play against to under 60 points most times. And these are good schools they're playing. But anyways, before we talk about football, let me talk to folks about our fantastic sponsor.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
You guys know I am a fan of FanDuel Sportsbook. But I have to tell you this. There's a way, with FanDuel, you can get, if you download the app and put $5 in, you can get some bonus bucks. But, NFL, NBA, NHL, hell, even Olympics. But go on there and try it out. There's even a casino where you can play some fun casino games. So check it out, guys. I'll tell you what, my co-host on my Steelers show, Bubba, has been using FanDuel for a while. It wasn't until the FanDuel became a partner with Voice College Football, I decided to download the app, and I actually, once a week, I get $10 from my wife to spend however I want.
There you go.
So now that we paid the bills, Jackson, You were on with Mountaineer Paul, and that was a great episode this week. What was it? Monday? Was it Monday?
Yesterday, actually.
Yesterday. It was yesterday. Boy, today just seemed like a long day. I didn't want to do the same show. I want to talk. I want to blow some sunshine in Rich Rod's direction.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just a stupid article. I probably wouldn't have, the fact that Mountaineer Paul called the guy and had a conversation, I give him credit because he's a real journalist. I'm not.
Yeah.
Now, Rich Rod, I'm going to go through some of his accomplishments, and you tell me overrated or underrated. Okay.
All right.
Start coaching at 24.
Yeah.
In 19, and then he was a student assistant in 85.
Yeah.
And he became the youngest head coach in the nation at 24 for Salem in 1988. Okay.
Yeah.
He's been at Glenville State from 90 to 96, led him to 4 consecutive WVAC championships. He made the NAIA national playoff appearance once and was coach of the year. So that was in that 6-year span. Then he went to Tulane from 97 to 98, and then Clemson from 99 to 2000, served as the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. And he was part of Tulane's 12-0 season. Well, then he went to a little school called West Virginia from 2001 to 2007. And then, of course, he's here now. But when he was at West Virginia, he led them to the Big East championship, or won the Big East, 2004, 5, and then 2007.
And was a thorn up Virginia Tech's ass in 2003 and 2002.
That's right, Jackson. I knew you'd remember that. He was the spoiler that beat number 3 Virginia Tech with Michael Vick in 2003. And that team was destined for a national championship. They basically pulled the Pitt 07 maneuver in 03. Now, he did not have a great record from 08 to 2010 with Michigan, but he was only given 2 years. So he's 15 and 22. Arizona, from 2012 to 2017, he was a Pac-12 South Division title in 14, and he set a bunch of offensive records for passing. He was offensive coordinator at Ole Miss, assistant coach at Louisiana Monroe. Then he went to Jacksonville State, and he knocked it out. So he brought him into the FBS, and he won Conference USA title.
Yep.
Now, everybody's heard of the no huddle zone read, right? Zone read offense, where you kind of test. You test to see exactly if they're going to bite. Use speed, use toughness, use like player development. That's all Rich Rod's forte, and he was at the point of the spear with developing this type of offensive philosophy. Does that sound like someone that you would shit can after a year?
Hell no, I wouldn't be doing that. That's dumb.
No,
you don't do that.
Now, with the recruiting class that they brought in, so West Virginia this year, to kind of blow up Rich Rod a little bit more, give him a little bit more juice. He's an old head. He's been coaching for 30 years.
Yeah.
Now he's forced, Dabo Sweeney's not doing as well as Rich Rod is as far as bending with the times and kind of embracing the change. Last year, he kind of did okay with the players he had. Now he has a top 23 class, and it would probably be top 20 if it was an SEC school, because they grade them higher if they're SEC kids. I don't know, Jackson. Is that something that you believe? Because you're an SEC guy. Do you think guys in the Big 12 are kind of rated a little lower just because they go to the Big 12?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
So all these things on his report card, other than the Michigan, he was 15 and 22. other than winning a national championship, he's won BCS bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, beat Georgia. His team beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, even though he didn't coach them in 07.
Man,
Beat Georgia.
that was a whipping right there.
Right. Rich Rod, I remember I was sitting in Iraq and I watch Rich Rod beat Georgia in Georgia at the Sugar Bowl. The Sugar Bowl should be played in Louisiana, but there was a little thing called Hurricane Katrina. And they had to play it in the Dog's backyard. So yeah, Georgia Tech's in Atlanta, but it's all dog territory, right? You live down there, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Well, and had it not been for South Florida upsetting West Virginia in 2006, I think we would have seen West Virginia in a BCS bowl like that. 2006 would be the perfect case where you would have a second Big East team in a BCS bowl. Like, it's a shame we never had that during Rich Rod's first era at West Virginia, because that would have been so awesome. But it's like the BCS didn't do that, which I wish there was really no rule limit on how many. Yeah, it's like you can't have more than two. It's like, come on, that's not good. That is not good. But yeah, because
it's just I don't know what else to say. You know, I mean, so I think Rich Rod's this year will determine, you know, if they go 4-8 again, people, I think people have every right to get a little bit upset with the recruiting class. But last year, 4-8 with the players going down, 4th string, 5th string, playing with whoever could. I mean, he moved the linebacker to running back, for crying out loud. I don't know. I just thought I would bring you on the show and we would, because Eric's out today. So I'm like, man, Jackson's my man. I text Jackson this morning. I'm like, you want to come on? He's like, okay, I think I can do that. Yeah. So here we are. But you're missing your shades, man.
Oh yeah.
How's the weather in Alabama right now?
You know, up and down, up and down. One day it's cold, next minute it's hot. Yeah. I have this weird feeling it's going to be cold in April, which I hate that the Alabama weather doesn't stick to something.
Yeah, I know. Well, I lived close to West Point, New York, just north of Columbus.
Oh wow.
Over there by Auburn, you know, Auburn territory. Yeah, I did. And so I know what it's like down there with the weather. I mean, it's one day it's wonderful. You're like, shorts, but you can never go wrong down there this time of year with shorts and a sweatshirt.
True.
Yeah, just layer up. I wanted to ask you, what are the chances you can make it up to a game in Morgantown?
I would love to go there. Like, that would be,
because I'll put you up. I'll give you a place to crash. You just fly into the airport. I'll pick you up. I'll chauffeur you around like an Uber guy. You know?
Oh man, I'll definitely get there at some point. But
yeah,
it's like,
that would be a good time.
We'd show,
you know, instead of looking at pepperonis, you can sniff them. You could become a full-fledged pepperoni roll sniffer. That's actually a degree at West Virginia University. Actually, I lie. Gordon Gee, that was one of the degrees he cut when he did the budget cuts. So you can't get a degree in pepperoni roll sniffing. So, anyways, I wanted to also ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
If you were going forward this year, what would you give the timeline for the ACC to start having some attrition? Like, do you think it's going to, is it 5 years? Because in 10 years, they turn into a pumpkin.
Mm-hmm. I think like the first move you're going to want to watch for is what's going to happen with Clemson and Florida State and Miami. Those are the schools you're going to want to watch for. Because it was like when, the expansion happened 2021. The move was Texas, Oklahoma going over to the SEC. Then a year later, Big Ten's thinking to themselves, wait a minute. We can't. How are we going to one up the SEC somehow? I know, we'll get USC, UCLA. Then summer 2023, they decide, okay, we're not that's not good enough. USC, UCLA, not good enough. We gotta get Oregon, Washington. And then like the rest of the shitstorm happens throughout the rest of the pack. And you're seeing everybody just scrambling. They're scattering like the chickens on that Chicken Little cartoon of Disney in 1943. They're just scattering. You see Utah, which I mean, and I told Tide Guy and Dale Wolfley, Joey Foster in July of 2023, I believe. And this was while like Utah, Colorado were
Yep.
still going on. And I said the Big 12, in order to make a really good move for expansion, because I mean, at that time, I think they had like Arizona State, Colorado. But what you want to do, because you know Oklahoma and Texas are gone after 2023, was to get Utah and Arizona, which I mean, you'll get Arizona, but what you want to do is get Utah, because you're not going to be able to have the backyard brawl. You can't get people, you can't get a whole nation excited with Kansas State, Iowa State, unfortunately. That's the hard truth. You can't get people excited with Kansas State, but what you can do is get the whole nation excited for the holy war between BYU and Utah. And that's what the Big 12 did, was get Utah.
Right.
So
Get some of it.
Now the expansion stuff has kind of died down, with the exception of the FCS schools going to FBS, of course.
Right.
So what's going to happen is I think you're going to see more of the FCS schools go over to FBS conferences over the next few years. But then when the time's right, let's say 2029, 2030, 2031.
Yep. 5 years, I give it.
You know, like how if somebody's pissed off at you, they're kind of waiting for you to screw up to like lay into you about not just what you
it's like
did
a slinky.
today.
Yeah.
Well, Florida State is still pissed off.
Yeah.
About that. I mean, they're a little bit pissed off about 2023. They're not going to say it publicly, but they still are. Clemson, I don't know what their deal is, but they're not happy with the way things are going. And I feel like another moment you want to watch for is Dick Vitale, like when he passes away. Because ESPN, they're kind of just smiling in his face about like Duke, North Carolina, because they know damn well how much he loves Duke, North Carolina. But expansion, unfortunately, is not about what benefits college basketball. We saw what happened to the OG Big East in 2011.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Syracuse Pitt, shit was hitting the fan. They realized, okay, we got to go to the AC. Jim Boeheim didn't like that move. But remember, he wasn't the main guy calling the shots. He's the guy that's coaching the basketball team. I mean, he's a guy that looks like he runs things, but he wasn't running things for Syracuse Athletics. But if he were, I can bet you $1 million they wouldn't have gone to AC. They'd have done everything they could stay in the Big East, keep it alive. But
unfortunately, and plus, Syracuse has a lot of journalists that are decision makers at ESPN, at CBS, so that carries some weight.
Exactly.
Now, back when Joey and I were talking, on the show when he was on here, I said it multiple times, when Miami's hot, they're hot. And of course, our Hurricane channel here at Voice College Football called it. They said they're going to be good in 2 years. And of course they were. And, do you have buyer's remorse? Maybe the Big 12 should have maybe reached out and tried to snag Miami, or would that not even be probably possible? I don't know.
Big 12 definitely should have, but at the same time, it's like, that does, on the one hand, it's kind of like it destroys the Miami-Florida State rivalry, but you have to think about your school, whether you like it or not. You got to think about what's best for your school, not what's best for everybody else in nowhere Alabama or nowhere North Dakota.
Yeah, but Miami, Florida State played all those years when Miami was in the Big East and Florida State was in the ACC. They just made it happen because they make it happen down there because they're the same. You have state representatives and congressmen that get shit from the constituents and alumni if those two guys aren't playing. That's just the way it is. That's the way it works.
And unfortunately, it does feel like if Florida State decides, okay, well, we're mad at the ACC forever, we're going to go to the Big Ten or the SEC, what's going to happen to Miami? Because, like, in the 90s, it wasn't like that. But we do have to ask that question of what happens to Florida State Miami. Nobody ever thought Notre Dame USC would be affected, but guess what
No.
happened? They're not playing each other this year. They're not playing each
No,
other.
no. I
And
want to ask you something before I forget. I have it on my list here.
Well, that's another thing to watch out for is like whatever happens with Florida State and Clemson, you can bet your bottom dollar Notre Dame's like, okay, we're done with this ACC deal. Because it's
Right.
exactly like 2012. Because, I mean, there's this like conception that like Notre Dame didn't want to play Michigan State, Purdue. That's not true. They wanted to play those schools. That's not true. Because 2011, again, Syracuse Pitt left for the ACC. And as you well know, West Virginia was like, okay, it's not very beneficial for us to stay in the Big East. And then there's like this 3-month lawsuit on how much money you're going to have to get out of the Big East. Were you going to be in the Big East for 2012 or the Big 12 for 2012? But what happened was West Virginia had to cut the home and home with Florida State of 2012-2013 to be able to afford the buyout to leave the Big East. Therefore, West Virginia went to the Big 12 starting in 2012, and we got like 10 teams in the Big 12. And then like Notre Dame basically saw the writing in the wall. September 2012, which I remember, it was on a Monday. I was watching Around the Horn, I think. It was like homeschool at that time. And it was on ESPN News. Breaking news, Notre Dame is leaving the Big East for the AC starting in 2014 at that time. And then there's going to be this 5-game deal with the ACC. And Notre Dame was basically like, we got to make some cuts. We're still keeping USC. We're still keeping Stanford. We're still keeping Navy. Right. But we got to cut the Michigan games, the Michigan State and Purdue games, unfortunately. We got to cut back some. And that's what happened. And honestly, that does make me worry about Florida State. Because like Florida State is going to be like, we're done. We're out.
Yep.
And
they don't, it's just a holding pattern right now. They're just waiting for an opportunity when the value versus the cost versus to make the exit. They're just waiting to punch their ticket. I'd say same with Clemson. And the fact that no one's covering it doesn't mean there's still not talks going on. I mean, they're still poking the bear. It's still happening. They might be going to their conference days, oh yeah, we're going to the ACC conference. Where do they have that? Atlanta?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte. Okay. They're probably going to Charlotte, sitting in their hotel room, just, cursing the ACC. Right. But I don't know. I want to ask you this before I forget.
All right.
I have a favorite matchup for West Virginia, and it's not Pitt. Pitt is not even top 3 for me that I on my wish list.
A good one.
Virginia Tech, number 1. I love that matchup. Louisville, close second.
Oh yeah.
Pitt, just maybe third. But I even like Syracuse. But Syracuse has been kind of garbage, like caca lately. So I would say maybe Virginia, but I think Pitt's maybe a little better. Cincinnati's a good matchup. What are your matchups that you like West Virginia playing?
I want Pittsburgh, Maryland, and Virginia Tech on the slate. But I know in the real world we're in, that's not going to happen at the moment. But it's like everybody at 9 conference games for college football. That's unfortunate. But, that's what's happening. You got to pit one. You can't pit both. I'll be right back for a bit. I'll just get some stuff out. But
sounds good.
I'll be right back.
So when we get him back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ask him Fiona's question. Does North Carolina, you talking NC State, right, go to the SEC or Big Ten? I really think they'd go to the SEC. I don't know if I'd want him in our super conference, but Earth Ether says Pitt, Virginia Tech, Maryland. I would say Virginia Tech, Louisville, Maryland, then Pitt. I mean, going back to those Chris Henry games where he won in overtime, those were fantastic. I remember sitting with my seat just kind of catty corner to the end zone where he made those catches. What excitement. Sorry, I had to hydrate. So, guys, with that, back to Rich Rod. Rich Rod had 56 guys go to the NFL. Chris Henry's one of them. I still can't get over. I'm kind of pissed. Like, who in the right mind want to fire Rich Rod right now? But the schedule with UT Martin, West Virginia has 7 home games, and I'm still on the fence to buy season tickets because I bought them last year. I went to 1 game. I gave 2 sets away. I just don't know. I just don't know. I mean, 7 games, 3 of them are kind of eh. Now, the Virginia game would be kind of fun, but it's in Charlotte, and that's a little too far for me to drive down to from Pittsburgh and get back with a high school game the night before. I know you guys drive from Logan County, Mingo County, Beckley. You guys drive from all points. I used to drive from Missouri. My friend lived in Oklahoma. He still lives there. He'd drive to Missouri, 7.5 hours, pick me up, and then we drive like 12 hours to Morgantown. And we'd hit 3 games a year like that. Boom, boom, boom. So I put my time in driving to games, but I just don't have the ass for it anymore. I'm getting too old and lazy. And when you have an 80-inch TV and a couch with a bathroom that no one in the house uses my bathroom down here. No one, just me. But anywho, I wanted to ask you guys a couple more questions before I let you go. Man, I also have on my list here other sports that are overrated, underrated. I'll go through them. Baseball, underrated. Nationally, West Virginia baseball is underrated. A sport that West Virginia has on my list here that has multiple national championships and is underrated, no one talks about, rifle team. Underrated. Women's soccer for West Virginia is underrated. Men's soccer, I think, is just rated. Men's soccer. Coach Kellogg and the women's basketball squad. I think they're finally getting their just desserts. I think they're just rated, maybe underrated, depending on the week, depending on who you talk to. I don't think nationally they have the respect they need. We have a women's basketball locked on. We have a women's basketball Voice of College Football channel, and she's fantastic. You need to talk. You need to watch that. Check it out here. Voice of College Football, women's basketball. But West Virginia doesn't get the national attention. I think we value it, but I don't think everybody else does. What other sports maybe that I'm missing? But those are the ones I have on my list, guys. So a lot of undervalued, underrated programs. Now, with that, do you think in the chat the Mountaineer football squad is underrated this year? And I think they are. I think Rich Rod is underrated. I think Coach Ross, last week I would say he's underrated. This week, overrated. It's week to week. He's in the first. Yeah, it's week to week. Last week he was underrated. He's riding high. This week after his press conference, I think he's a little overrated. You can't have the same thing happen over and over and just think you're going to beat the house. The house odds don't lie. You're getting outscored in long stretches. You're going dry. Your defense is good, but your guys don't have the legs to make buckets. Something has to change. Coach, make some changes. Coach. Because this week, you're underrated. And I've said it before, the best coach at West Virginia, Coach Kellogg, maybe Coach Saban, and I can't remember who the coach of the women's soccer team is, but I think those three are ahead of Rich Rod and Ross Hodge. Let's put some. I'm going to put your chat up here. Now, Earth either says there's going to be a decent year for football. You're going to be surprised. Fiona says, get the season tickets and do giveaways on the channel. I don't know if I could do that. I did listen, I did give one away just to somebody random that messaged me. Completely free. Just here you go. Both sets. Yeah, I might do that. I can do that. Truly underrated. Rifle needs more attention. Rifle has had a guy a couple years ago win the Olympics. Fiona says, yes, we're going underrated for different programs and sports for West Virginia. Rifle team has, I think, 17, maybe 20 national championships. And I basically the basketball and football coach for West Virginia are not even top 3. I think the basketball coach, Coach Kellogg, is a better coach than any of them. But I people just, if you don't want to watch, you don't want to watch. But so we just have about 10 more minutes, and then we're going to get off here. Last segment, I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Your final answer.
All right.
Okay. Fiona had a question for you. Does NC State go to the SEC or Big Ten?
Depends on who's the highest bidder.
It's true. Now, here's the last thing. Last segment. Most valuable, give me the 5 most valuable programs in the Big 12 and the 5 in the ACC.
Ooh, that's a good question. For the Big 12,
we're going to close with that.
The Big 12, I would say Texas Tech.
Yeah, I'd agree. That'd be my number 1.
Ooh.
Now here's the thing, Jackson. It's not the most storied program. No. Going back history, it's kind of shit. But right now, they got the money, they have the facilities. I just watched two different TikToks where they show the top 5 facilities in college football. Texas Tech was top 5 in one and top 3 in another.
Yep. I'm gonna go with Texas Tech. Oklahoma State is a good one for now. Colorado, West Virginia, and it's a tie between BYU and Utah.
Okay. Mine are pretty similar. I have Texas Tech, BYU, because they have so much money.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I have Utah, Colorado, and my 5th one's kind of like it just rotates. Like it could be Kansas, it could be Kansas State. I don't know. It could be TCU. That's just the 5th one's the hard one to pick for me. It's just so hard. I mean, chat. I mean, you get Texas Tech, BYU, Utah, Colorado, West Virginia. West Virginia's in there. So is West Virginia the 4th or 5th for me? I don't know. But West Virginia makes lists for me. I try not to be biased. But now, ACC.
Ooh.
What's tough is you have like 3 that are really good, and then you have like that middle pack that's all the same.
Yeah. I'm going to go Florida State,
Amen.
Clemson, Miami. So that's 3. And then you got to go. Are we including for all sports? Because Notre Dame is a member of the ACC.
I wouldn't. Notre Dame's not part of the mix.
Okay.
Exclude them.
So Notre Dame's excluded.
Yep.
Because it's like they're number 1 either way if they're in the ACC. But so you got Florida State, Clemson, Miami. North Carolina's your number 4.
Yep.
They're the Tar Heel State. Now, if it was basketball, Duke would obviously be in that top 5. But
I'm just talking. It could be football and basketball together. I mean, it's just the brand, like the value of that. How much money they bring in versus the sexy, the swag they have, like how just overall, like facilities, just everything. Just when you think of sports, So you have Florida State, Clemson, Miami, UNC. The 5th one is the one that just stumps me.
That's tricky right there.
I would say probably I'd fit Louisville in there because they do well with money. Louisville or Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, like
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, for me it would be
Duke?
Georgia. It would be Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
But, it could be a toss-up between Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, and Louisville.
I agree. 5. I agree. I think I would just change my order. I'm going to do Florida State, UNC, Miami, Clemson, and then I have Louisville in there.
Mm-hmm. Although if I were the SEC, though, and this nothing against North Carolina, but I'm not separate. I don't want to be that dude that separate the North Carolina Duke rivalry. No. That's not happening. No. So here's what I'd want to do if I were the SEC. And this is a dream world. But I know,
dream world. Everybody put your dream hats on.
So here's what I'd do. Add Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and Georgia Tech. So Alabama can be able to play Georgia Tech again. Clemson can play Georgia on an annual basis. Florida State, Miami are in the SEC so that we can have the 3 Florida teams playing one another on an annual basis.
That'd be nice.
And we'd have Georgia Tech as a conference game. And we would have Clemson, South Carolina as a conference game. And here's what else I'd do. I would trade Missouri to the Big 12, and in return, I get Oklahoma State so that I could get the Bedlam rivalry back on an annual basis.
Wow. I think that would be a trade that West Virginia would be fond of because, Missouri's not much closer. It's 14-hour drive, or 12-hour drive, but still, that sounds like it would pan out to have some good rivalries. And then West Virginia, the Big 12 could get Louisville, UNC, NC State.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And Virginia Tech. Yeah, that might work. Man, we should start our consulting business and help these people that are stuck on stupid and get them. Let's go to the chat and see what folks are saying here before we wrap it up. After this week, Ross is not good enough as it stands. He has no offense and inconsistent with foul shots. Yeah, for a team full of shooters, they're not making it at the foul line, man. They're not just putting the charity stripe. They're not making the buckets. Rifle team wins, period. They win, and they win year in and year out. Fiona Biscuit, Texas Tech, BYU, Arizona. Oh, I forgot about Arizona. Kansas State, TCU. Fiona, I like that list. I like that list a lot. Miami, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, and Georgia Tech for Fiona for the ACC.
Kind of like my list. Hey, great minds think alike. Fiona.
Yeah, Fiona and you are on the same page. You must be cheating off her workbook. She's like, how about this? Dissolve the ACC football conference, make the ACC a basketball conference again. I don't know if that'll happen, but that would be sexy because the ACC is a good basketball conference. it's a different style of play than the Big 12 or what the Big East was. I think the Big 12 kind of took over for the Big East being a little physical.
Yeah.
They've been letting them play a little bit. It's just strange when you see different referees from different conferences ref a game. It just throws things out of whack. I've seen it in college football too. To close out the show, I have one last thing.
Okay.
The officiating for the NFL college football last year, I want you to give it a grade.
B.
B.
Yeah.
I would say a D plus. Because NFL was really bad. I would say NFL D. I would say C for college. It just they got to do better. They have all these timeouts and stuff. Some of the reviews are just taking too long. That's my opinion.
I just want the overtime rule where there's like ties in 2025, 2026. I want ties to go away from the NFL regular season. And I want it to be like college football overtime, but be like college football overtime from 1996 to 2018.
Yep. I think you're right. Spot on. The fact that there's ties, I just scratch my head on like, how the hell did that happen? But yeah, Kenny Evans, he's a regular here. Thank you, Kenny. I want to thank everybody in the chat, and I want to thank Jackson for hopping on. It's been a minute, but I'm so happy to have you on. And, Jackson, tell the folks where we can find you.
Well, you can find me all over the place because, I'm writing articles on the Voice College Football website, where, of course, I'm part of BOCFB staff. And you can also find me on Alabama at the Voice College Football on Mondays at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find me Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also find me on the Alabama Call-In Shows. Jeffrey Only Talk Sports, and I take your calls at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, of course. But what I'll do is just kind of go ahead and send the show link to Shane, and I'm sure he can put it in the chat for you guys for what's next in the lineup tonight in the Voice of College Football lineup. Because I'm going to tell you right now, we've got a fun ride and a wild ride coming to your way all right here at the Voice of College Football line. Oh, my bad. I didn't put the YouTube link in there. My bad. Oh, never mind. I'll get it figured out. Oh, well. But that's the thing, though. And you can also find me on SEC at the Voice College Football Mondays at 8:30 Eastern Time, p.m. And on the SEC Live Show with Andrew Miller and Tucker Harlan on Wednesday nights. That's a fun ride right there because we're featured on with guests and much more all right there.
Then you're a regular on Paul's show on Locked On Big 12 or Locked On West Virginia.
Oh yeah, I'm a bi-weekly guest on with Mountaineer Paul on Locked On West Virginia, as he covers your team every day, the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Oh yeah.
So it's
lots
always
of content every day.
Oh
so
yeah. And I also got a Jack Side episode where I'm filming episode 99 with Jeff Sharon of Black and Gold Baronet at SB Nation, where we'll be talking a little bit about the Central Florida Knights. And I'm getting close to episode 100 as we know it.
Yeah, I popped on your show about a month or 4 or 5 weeks ago.
That was fun.
Yeah, we had a good time. We just laugh and we don't. Usually you have a call sheet with some of these, but we just raw dog it, man. We just go after it and just boom. Let's do it. Guys, I'll tell you what, every Thursday you can catch me here at 8, Mondays at 9. And then if you like Steelers stuff, which if you don't like the NFL, I get it. College is a much better product. But Steelers Dynasty podcast, Mondays at 10, Wednesdays at 9. Hey guys, I want to thank Jackson again for coming on, and we're going to see you out with the great state flag of West Virginia.
There we go.
Good night.